Hello and welcome to What's Up With That, a podcast hosted by me. That's Don Brington. What's Up With That is a podcast where we seek to engage all things spiritual and religious and seek to maybe not come up with definite answers, but at least to ask the question, what's up with that? Today we have with us a special guest, and on today we want to deal with, I won't say an issue, but perhaps a topic of interest, and perhaps has been of interest for a number of years. That topic is do we have the ability to sing in the church choir and find ourselves perhaps in the club on the weekend singing what we call secular music and still glorify God? A big question. So many through the years perhaps have been hurt because they have sung and they've been gifted. And their area of giftedness has been in the arena of secular music. And we have some gifted artists. Artists when I think about Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder, folk who are gifted in secular music, but blessed by God. And those are folk who I believe are welcomed in the church. Maybe at some point in time they were challenged. Because often what we get is that if you're singing in the church choir, you ought not be in the club. So we ask the question, what's up with that? And to dive in and begin some of that conversation, we have with us a very special person in Monae Carter. Monae Carter is from Austin, Texas, and right now we work in the same place. I have known Monae since she's been at HT, but I ran into Monae at a unique place, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we really get started, hello, Monae.
Hi.
How you doing, girl?
I'm good.
Good. Doing fantastic. Glad to have you with us today. Glad when I asked you when I saw you walking down the hallway, you said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that."
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. So thank you for being here today. And I'm just as we start. I said Monae Carter from Austin, Texas. Share a little bit about yourself, and when I say share a little bit about yourself, even as we begin to talk about your church background, right? Talk to us. Who is Monae Carter?
Okay, well, born in Los Angeles, or lived there in my younger years, and then we moved to Austin. So for a while we were considered transplants, but grew up here, went to school here, then moved to Houston, okay. Where I did my undergrad and stayed there for a while, then moved to Jersey, where I did some auditioning and worked that circuit, background singing, okay. And then came back to Austin and kind of had a lower profile when it came to singing both secular and gospel, so I wasn't really just.
So when you were in California, were you doing both gospel and secular?
When I was in California, I was younger, so I was like 6.
Oh, you
so it was a baby. And then I would go back and forth up until like 2002 when my grandfather passed. But whenever I would go out there, I would be with my grandmother, and so I would sing in the choir because I'd go to church with my grandmother.
All right.
So. But yeah, after Jersey, coming back to Austin, I didn't really sing anywhere, whether it be church or secular, with the exception of a funeral here or there. And those are people who knew me from a while back, and they just knew to call my mother to get to me. So that's how a lot of people started getting to me, just through my mom, because I wasn't answering my phone for anybody.
Is that right?
So when it came to singing, I was like, no, I'm good. So,
okay. So those people perhaps had heard you sing somewhere?
Yeah, in church. Like church people, and then like family members.
Okay.
And so they'd be like, "Oh, I want to see if Monae will do it." And they'll call my mom, and then my mom will be like, "Such and such wants to know if you sing at her or his such and such's funeral."
All right.
And I'd be like, "No." Or I'd be like,
now that's kind of cold.
I'd be like, no. I mean, no. Or yeah, I'll do it. Just tell me when. So it just depends. Because after a while, a certain amount of funerals, you're just like, all right, I've reached my quota. I reached my quota. On funerals. So
we need a break here.
Yeah, I need a break. I can
understand that. So can you just tell us a little bit about your church background?
Okay. So I grew up Baptist. My mom grew up Baptist as well. In my latter years, like I want to say mid-teens. She got the call. So my mom is a preacher, ordained minister. My grandmother is an ordained minister. Her mom, she has her doctorate in theology from Emory, and her master's from seminary in Southwest, right here in Austin.
Okay.
So yeah. Then on my dad's side, my dad is a minister of music. So all of my musical abilities, outside of coming from God, my dad has the gift. My dad has a gift. He sings. And he's a multi-instrumentalist, keys, drums, bass, upright guitar, all of that he can do. So yeah, that's my background. Now, as I've gotten older, I was a member, when I was in Houston, I attended Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church.
Was that Cosby?
Yes.
All right.
I still watch, I'm an online member now. So
and there was a time we could talk about that.
Yeah.
But since COVID, we got to be all right with online members and watching TV, right?
Online member.
All right.
And so now that I'm here, I go to New Direction, Pastor B.J. Henry.
Okay.
I had a long gap. I think was it 7 year? I had a 7-year gap where I just wasn't going to church.
Okay. So, was that a long time ago? Was that more recent?
My first time going to church and then staying consistent was this particular year. My birthday fell on a Sunday. I think it was my 31st.
Okay.
So I'm 34 now. So just 3 years. But in the past 3 years, I've been more consistent with going.
Okay, but you did go up in church.
Mm-hmm.
That was a part of your life.
You got to break. You got to break on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday was Bible study or junior mission. That's my mama. Thursday is choir rehearsal. My mama was a choir director as well.
So you had to be there.
Yes, I had to be there. Friday was some type of meeting. Just, it could be a ring. Friday you might get a break, but Friday for the most part it was some type of meeting.
Something going on.
Something going on.
You had to be at church on Friday
after school.
Okay.
And so then Saturday was youth rehearsal, or that's youth day.
Right.
So you had your rehearsal, your usher meeting, and all of that stuff. Then Sunday you get up, you go to Sunday school, then BTU. Then there's a break between BTU and Sunday service at 11. And that's when you get your donut. You got to say your scripture in order to get a donut. And you can't say Jesus whipped me. You can't say John 3:16 because those are the easiest ones. You got to say
everybody knew those. You had to give something that perhaps not was well known by the congregation, right?
And you couldn't say Jesus whipped.
All right, that was a bit too short.
It's too short. So you got to say something else. But then and then of course during the summertime, especially in Austin, that was the big revival time, musicals.
Yes, St. John's Association, right? The whole
so
week.
You participate. I did Bible stories, and then you had to do this. It was so much. But yeah, I grew up in all of that.
Okay.
Girls don't wear pants; you wear skirts. Especially in church. Yeah.
So I learned about you in a very interesting way, right? Before I get to how I discovered your true gift, right? Because I'd heard some things that you can sing around here, and I tried to convince you to come and share with us in chapel. But I said, well, I can't sing. But then I discovered that you did. And that discovery was I had a friend, right? Who knew someone who was your former teacher.
Yes.
And actually, we were going to be going out to dinner on that evening, and I got a call saying, she called me, passed it on, but she said, my friend called and she's going, she has a former student that's going to be singing tonight. And she was asking if we joined them. Mm-hmm. And she and her husband was going. Mm-hmm. And I said, where is this? And she said, well, it's a bar, and I'm sure it's nice. And it's like, okay. And she noticed that I was him-hawing. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the name and you can look it up. Mm-hmm. And then you let me know, right? Mm-hmm. I looked it up, and it was at the Embassy Suites Hotel, right? So it looked cool.
Nice.
And,
it looked
and
real
then
nice.
and some place that you could go, and they served food and all that stuff, right? Not opposed to a glass of wine every now and then, so we can handle this, right? Only to get there, and you said you noticed me.
I did.
right? You talked about me a little bit when you said you noticed me, and you can say something about that if you want later. But it was on that evening that maybe we both were sort of surprised.
Yes.
Very. Because it's like, okay, I know her, right? But anyway, that's how I discovered your gift. What I'd like to ask is, one, what's your stage name? You have a stage name. What's your stage name? Should. Is that, how did you come up with should?
I like to read.
Okay.
And so I'd always seen the movie The Color Purple, but I never read the book.
Okay.
So I read the book, and surprisingly, the character Suge Avery and myself had a lot in common, especially with her struggle between singing gospel versus having a father who was a pastor, and then having that split. And for me, it wasn't so much my mom, it was a family issue. My mom didn't care. It was so, because I tell people with my family, we have everything from criminals to preachers and everything in between. Teachers, nurses, all of that. So it was more of the family, like aunts, uncles, cousins, who were split on what I should be doing. And so growing up, you kind of hear the whispers, and like she already fast, and you want her to sing that. And, well, she not this. And so you just kind of like, when you're younger, you don't know what they're talking about. But then as you get older, you're like, oh, they're talking about me. Okay. That makes total sense. So I jokingly put it as my social media name. Like, it was a joke. Like, I had put my real name.
Right.
But then I had jokingly put it up. And at this time, I had put the V in front of it because I know a thing or two about, copyrights and, cease and desist. So I put the V in front of it and made it all one thing. That way, I could avoid any type of copyright infringement or get in trouble.
Right.
And this is back when Vine is an app from, I want to say like almost 10, 11 years ago. Vine was going on, and I had did like some funny videos, just me in my car talking, and it kind of just took off. So by the time I was like thinking about changing my name back to like, oh no, this is my real name, people were literally calling me, hey Suge. I took so much to that now, like that's my family nickname and nickname amongst friends. Very few people, unless you're like immediate family, call me Monae. So
so it's sort of
it was a joke that stuck.
But it's interesting that it was that movie, and The Color Purple has a lot of meaning for a lot of folk. But interesting that you could really directly relate to her and what was going on in her world. So looking at Suge and what was going on in her world, you mentioned the family piece, right? And the division that was family. Was there an issue with church, or not so much so because mom and grandma were pastors?
So my grandma still lived in California, and my mom was here. We used to go to St. John College Heights.
Okay.
And so the issue was just more so in the delivery and how I sang, that they wanted to be more refined. I love rap. I've always loved rap music. One of my first CDs like that was mine was Me Against the World by Tupac, that album. So I love rap. So I've always delivered, even with my singing, things a little bit harder, as if I was a rapper. And because I like rap, I like the stories in rap, even though I didn't live that life. But when you can hear somebody's words and then you can put it to visuals in your own mind, I like it. And plus, I like the drums. I like how it's just like there in your face. So a lot of times, I remember one time in particular, I was singing a solo, and I was never nervous about singing.
Is it church?
It was at church. I was never nervous about singing. So most time people hold the mic, they just hold it like this, or they do this. But I held the mic. Like, I was holding the mic like this.
All right.
Because that's how Biggie Smalls hold the mic. He holds it like, so when he do, and of course I would come back to here. You come back to here and do this, but it was that I had a particular cousin, I'm not gonna say her name, but I had a particular cousin, and she would already be on my case about being a distraction for some of the male parishioners. I was 10. I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, I don't know why I'm having this conversation. This is very awkward, but whatever. And so, like, that particular Sunday after church, she let me have it. She tore into me. And some other was like, yeah, I'm not upset, but you need to just, be more mindful and da, da, da. Then I had some cousins who are like my age or like in that teenage bracket. Man, you ain't do nothing wrong. She's mad because she can't sing. She's just good, So it would always be that. Like, it would be the correction of church people, but then the support of secular people, which would be kind of like, all y'all do is talk about me, but then over here, they just want to hear me sing. They just want to support me. So,
did that have any impact? You said you sort of left church for a while, and you've been back for 3 years consistently, right? Did that have any impact on why you left the church?
No, it wasn't the reason. For me, the reason why I left is just burnout, and then just not feeling heard. And it had nothing to do with the music or the singing aspect. I just got burned out and tired because for as long as I can remember, all the way up to like when did I leave Houston? About 2013, 2014. I was even as a kid, I'm in mass choir, women's choir, youth choir, praise team. When once praise team started becoming popular in church, I'm on praise team. My aunt is the usher director, so I'm on usher board. I have an affinity for talking, so they put me in Bible stories. So I won first place at association for all of that. So I did everything possible. So the burnout, and then plus as I got older, I had questions, and then also just for me and being young, I was very much a hothead, and so the building didn't matter. If I had something to say, I'm gonna say it, and whatever words you get what you get. You don't get catch fit, because I'm gonna say it, because clearly you did something to me or around me, because I don't like bullies. So if you're gonna be a bully, I'm a great bully. So I'm gonna show you how to be a bully. Don't do that. So I just got tired of that. I still sing. I still kept up with gospel music. I still kept up with secular music, or my uncle called it worldly sounds. I still kept stayed in tune with everything. It was just the church. It had nothing to do with the music. It was just the church itself. I got tired.
So, and even though there were perhaps maybe church bullies, it was just a matter of burnout.
Yeah.
Did the church bullies or others? Because at one point you said I have those who were secular, who just wanted to hear my music. Those in the church who were critical. Did that create for you maybe sort of an inner struggle of the rightness or wrongness of sharing? That maybe there was something wrong. I mean, you were in church till you were 23, so I'm quite sure that you were doing both by that time.
Yes.
And you were yet still active in the church, and very active for what you're saying. Was there any inner struggles that were going on in terms of maybe sometimes guilt or something going on that questioned what you were doing, how you were doing it?
I didn't have an internal struggle, because for me, it was like I went to church for my relationship with God. So however you felt about it, you take it up with Him. And then also the stuff that I was doing in clubs or other venues, that was paying the bills. So I mean, and then of course you want to lean on church for everything, but if I still got to eat throughout the week. I'll show up to rehearsals. I give 100% to God, by giving my gift in church and sharing. But if I can go get $300 to sing 4 songs, and I can go home, I can just boop, thank you, and go about my business. That's what I'm gonna do. Now, as I got older, I had to understand that everybody's that my assignment isn't everybody's business. So I didn't so much have the struggle with the church, like internally. Mine was, am I going the right direction? Because for me, I feel like a lot of people get into gospel music when they fail at everything else. So I don't think they take it genuine. Like for me, I'm a writer. I'm a songwriter too. So if I'm asked to write a song, a gospel song, at first I was shy away from it, but now more recently with actually like going to Bible study, teaching Bible study, learning these things. Oh yeah, because now I can write, and it's still I can still write from the same places that I write secular music. My experience, I have experiences with God. I know God's word. I know it's like to have God turn you over to yourself. So I know all the biblical aspects to write a song, just like I write a song about what I went through with this guy, or what I went through at this job, or some of my internal thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not a talented songwriter because I took, an English class in college. I literally can sit there and some words will come to me. I'm like, okay, that's a gift. Some people want to be able to write a song, and they write a song and it's awful.
Okay.
But you got to have a gift to be a talented songwriter, and then to make it make sense, and then to be able to translate it from the paper to a melody, from the melody to the studio to actually crafting a whole thing, and then to be able to do it for other people. So it was just more so understanding my assignment, and then coming to grips that there's nothing wrong with me.
Okay.
Like I'm not the ultimate sinner because I sing here and I also sing here, because there's been times that I've sang at clubs or venues where I'm the only example of Bible that person may have seen, because when they came in, I wasn't mean to them.
Okay.
And I tell people, I don't care where I'm at. If I feel like in the middle of a song, a gospel song go here, and we gonna take off and go into it, that's what we don't do. If I can't bring the person who brought me here in the first place, I'm not coming.
Okay. Heard a lot there, right? One, life is both, right? My experiences, my heartaches, my pain.
Yeah.
I can talk about that's blues,
yeah.
Right? That's where blues come from. And sometimes some church comes out of blues, right?
Yeah.
It's my pain, it's my struggle, and those same pains and struggles that I have that I might hear at a blues joint are those same pains and struggles that when I understand my spiritual nature, that it's in the midst of those struggles that I have a God. So it serves. God is in all of it.
All of
in
it.
some sense.
All of it.
Is that what I understand?
Yes.
So does it matter, or is the importance, because so many are driven from the church, right? Because of that. It sounds like what matters is knowing God for yourself.
Yes.
And knowing what your relationship is.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes, because if I would have listened to a lot of people on certain things, I would have missed other opportunities that were waiting for me, because I wanted to be obedient to what they thought. There's a lot of times I never prayed about it. I never consulted God about it. I just, such and such said I should do it, so I ain't gonna do it, because she been knowing God much longer than I have, so she clearly right. Meanwhile, I didn't pray about it. I didn't ask God to tell me what to do. I just took her word for it, and I don't know what her relationship with God is, or if she even has a relationship with God. It could be coming from God, or it could be coming from her own issues with wanting to control somebody, or what she think is church. Because what I grew up to realize, having my own walk, not like my mom's or my grandmother's opinion, is that some people they know church, being the building, but they don't have no relationship for themselves. Because as soon as they go through something, oh God just forgot about me. You don't know about the story of Job? You didn't know about the people of Nineveh and what they went. Oh, you don't know about. Oh, okay. So now I see you know church. You know church started at 11. Need to be out by 1:30. You know about what to wear. You know about all the things that we know about as far as religious dogma, how it's supposed to look, but you don't have a relationship.
Yeah, but church, part of that, many will come running, Lord, Lord, and I will say, get away from me, because I don't know you. And even though you've been in the house.
Yeah, you've been.
So there's some who are in the house.
Yeah.
Who know the form of church.
Yeah.
But don't know.
Don't know. Okay. They don't have and their alignment isn't quite right. Because none of us are perfect. Everybody got some things that they, a thorn, something they saw that they have to, that they struggle with or they have to work with. But at the end of the day, I know my assignment. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm here for. Now, do I always understand it? Absolutely not. Because I've had some people come to me at a club, one of the venues, and was like, "You sang a song that my mom used to sing, and I was gonna hurt myself later, but you sang a song, and you just got a light, and I just feel so much better." And I used to get caught up in it because sometimes the treatment of how I think it was the delivery. Because it's one thing, to talk to somebody in love, like, "Hey,
right.
Are you sure?" But it's the difference between, you're going to hell, right? Yeah. The devil was the such and such, and you going right there with him. And when you're younger and you don't have a relationship, somebody tell you going to hell, you're like, I already live in Texas, so if it's hotter than this, you're right. Let me. Right. But then when you just get it on for yourself, and then you kind of dig into the Bible for real, not just the few scriptures that we know, the popular scriptures, right, and try to apply them. And I've gotten into more recently reading not just the scripture, but a few scriptures ahead and below, so you can get full context.
Okay.
That matters. So I just think that for people who do struggle, you really have to ask God what your assignment is. Because, like, for me, I can't tell anybody else what they're supposed to do, right? But if you're called to do gospel music, and that's where you flourish, and that's where God wants you to be, do it. Be obedient. If you know that you love singing gospel, you don't have a problem singing gospel, but you flourish here, and this is how you get your gift out, and and God is there, because there's some topics I can't write about, and because I either feel like I want to say it's conviction, but it's like I don't even make no sense. Or when I put the words together, I'm like, that's stuff. We're not gonna do that. But so you kind of know where to go when you really being obedient to what your gifts are and what your assignment is. Because people love Fantasia. Nobody has a problem with Fantasia. Okay. Nobody has a problem with Aretha. Aretha Franklin still holds the record for highest selling gospel album.
Her daddy was a well-known, renowned preacher. Okay.
But she's known as the Queen of Soul. Okay. She got some songs where if you really dissect the words, you're like, is she talking about? Yeah, that's what she's. Yeah, okay. And then when you kind of dig deeper in her catalog, a lot of the songs where she's talking about love and being in love, you can kind of hear like, is she talking to God or is she talking to a man? Because it's never obscene or wild. And a lot of female artists and male artists, it's like, are they talking about the Lord, or this could be a gospel song when you listen to it? Because Brandy, she has a song on the Human Nature album called Right Here. Okay. And the words are, when you see the break started, when you see the break started, you see and when the clouds have all departed, you'll be right here with me. When your life is going too fast off the train tracks, I will slow it down. Just when you think you're about to turn back, scared you might crash, I'll be your ground. And I was like, this is a gospel song.
It's a message.
This is a message there. So I think because of what we hear about the devil being the orchestrator, the angel of music, and people don't even know the context about that, and that's another podcast in itself. But when you have a message, and it's not just for me, and this is just my opinion. Okay. When you have a message and it's not just space, not just you just want to say some nasty stuff, just say some nasty stuff. Okay. I think that also makes a difference too, because there's some secular artists that I know gospel people enjoy. I know y'all enjoy it, not y'all, but we enjoy Charlie Wilson. Okay. I know the older saints love Charlie Wilson.
Now Charlie Wilson, I learned about him a few years ago. He had sung. I didn't know that he was secular artist as well, because it was gospel. Yeah. Right? And I listened to it, and at that moment it spoke to me, right?
Right.
It was a little later that I found out that
That's from the
he
cafe.
does this, right?
Yeah.
Your personal relationship matters.
Definitely.
And what I'm hearing you saying, because I asked, mama's a preacher, grandma's a preacher, daddy's a minister of music.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in time, did they ever challenge or question you as regards your path?
Nope. My grandma shows up to every single show.
I think she was.
She was
She
there.
was
Yeah.
there.
My grandma only missed one show. That's only because the sitter that I had for my niece, nephew, and my son couldn't make it, and she didn't want them to come to the venue.
Right.
So that's the only show she's missed. But my grandma comes, my mom comes, and me and my dad, as our relationship heals and gets better, he's come from Oklahoma.
Is that right?
To a few of my shows he's played, and we've sang together. So it's all about knowing your assignment and being real to it, because I can sing gospel music.
Now, you use the word assignment, and I don't know, maybe I think maybe I substituted the word. When you say assignment, what do you mean?
What you're called to do.
Okay.
Yeah, or what you, I know I'm not a preacher, right? I know I have moments where I can speak to people and, I can tell them my story and give them, my testimony, as we would say. I can tell them that, but a full out sermon, that's not my assignment, because it's not going to be, it's not going to be genuine.
Okay.
Two, that's just going to be me wanting to get up there and get the glory versus God getting the glory. That's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be a preacher. I thought I was. I was like, maybe I could preach. No. that's a no. Because then it's a lot that comes with that, because whatever you're preaching and you're giving to the people, you're responsible for that word. You can't mix up your opinion. You can't mix up your thoughts, because the Bible don't need your opinion and your thoughts. It's pretty solid. It's pretty, standard book. So I just think that with the whole secular versus gospel, I will say this, the only time that I have issue with that debate is when secular artists are like, every time they put out something, it just fails, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't really work. Mm-hmm. And then they go to our gospel to, because they made a name for themselves. They're known, but they're just not putting out. The masses aren't responding to them the way they used to.
Right.
So, I'm gonna go gospel. That's the phrase. Oh, I'm gonna go gospel. And then they put out a gospel song, and then with gospel, because that industry is kind of a little bit based on popularity amongst the sound and who's up there. I'm popular here, so they know me, but now I'm gonna go gospel. Now you got a number one on the gospel charts, so you can propel that to get you back to where you want to be, and you're not serious about it. So that's my only only thing about it.
Are you saying that there's some gospel artists who maybe use gospel to get where they want to be?
There's some secular artists who use gospel to get to where they want to be.
Some secular artists who use gospel to get where they want to be. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just like there's some European American artists who use hip hop to get to where they want to be. So because they weren't doing what they thought they would do here, they brought it over here. Because for us, especially as far as the culture, we love a good production. If the production is slapping, you got us at least 50%. You got a catchy hook. Oh, that's another 25.
Okay.
And then if the in betweens is good, you got some good melodies, a few good breakdowns, or a good feature. Because if it's such and such featuring this person, I might even like you, but I like that song. So now you got a number one song. Meanwhile, you was just a folk pop artist.
Okay.
And nobody was dealing with you. That's the story of Post Malone.
Okay.
So it's one thing when it's that, because that's just secular to secular. Mm-hmm. But then for me, how I look at it, when you just trying to stay afloat and you using gospel as your scapegoat, because that's a real ministry.
Right.
Because I saw the interview with the Clark sisters. They were offered millions to sing. If the Clark sisters would have ever went secular, the girls would have been done. There would have been no other group because all of them can sing.
Yeah.
So if they ever decided if they at that time when they first came out, if there was no mama directing them, they was just sisters, and they let go. I think she said total over the years probably 20 million, 30 million, because they knew what they were supposed to do is sing gospel music. So I look at them like, man, they really understood it. Because you can't just, for me, you can't just go singing gospel, even if you sing gospel at church, you know, you sing a few songs, okay. But to try to make that your scapegoat after something over here has failed, and it's not about the ministry, it's about the monetary advancement.
Yeah. So that means that it's not authentic. There's no sincerity. There's no heart.
Yeah.
There's no heart.
Because if you can create an album where you say, I tried him and he came through, or I was so lost but now Jesus got me. If you know those standards things, and or if you throw a choir in there, that's a winning recipe. Because no matter how far we get from choirs and we now on praise teams or this types of group, people still love traditional Black gospel music. So I get serious, or I take it serious when people just jump into it, because it's not from a sincere place. Of course you can sing it, you can sing. Nobody's taking that away from you, but you can see the difference when someone is singing R&B because they're able to, that freedom versus, all right, track 6, let's get this done so I can put it out, so we try to stay afloat out of the label. Okay. $100,000. So.
Do you sing in the church as well today? Okay. In that, and you can ask me what I think too, but I'm going to ask you the question, get your answer, and then I'll tell you what I think. Right?
Okay.
After hearing you, because I had tried several times to get you to sing in chapel, right? And after hearing you, I think you said in chapel, I told you, right?
You volunteered.
I volunteered.
Yeah, you
right?
volunteered.
So I volunteered.
Yeah, it was a volunteer.
And you did, and it was absolutely heartfelt. It was spiritually moving. It was inspirational. The praise was awesome, and it ushered in sincere worship. Right?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
When the same openness that I give when I'm singing a gospel song, there's certain secular songs that I get that same commune with God, and I can hear Him, and that's because sometimes I'll be on, I'll go, ooh, because there's certain songs that touch in those same spots. So.
Because that was the question I was going to ask. I was trying to set it up.
You set it up. Yeah. I knew where you were going a little bit.
Yeah, you know how I was going to, and you kind of took it away from me.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So I'm going to bring it back and ask the question. When you are on stage performing in a secular venue,
right,
are you then in there glorifying God?
Yes, because I'm being, let me choose my words correctly. I am glorifying God because I'm doing what He told me to do. And I'm being sincere in it. If something makes me feel uncomfortable, or I know it's going to give me, or make me feel like this is disrespectful, I'm not going to do it. The freedom that I get, because you gotta be honest. There's certain things that I can do on a stage as far as freedom and movement and dancing go that I can't do on a church stage. Right. And not because, I'm ashamed of it, but it's just the level of respect that you hold for God's house or wherever we're convening and He is the main, event, being responsible for that. So, yes, there's certain songs that I sing and we get to going, and gospel is really just in everything, especially when we pull certain chords, when you pull certain runs, it's all there. If that's what you meant to do, then that's just what you meant to do. And then there's been times where I've sung songs, and we'll go into it. The last time I sang at Bar Louie, where he saw me.
Say it again.
At Bar Louie.
Okay.
Where he saw me. My mom had just got the news that she was cancer free.
Wow.
So, before I ended the show, and I always do most of the time, as long as we're not pressed for time, because we got to stay in line with whatever contract we agreed to.
Right.
But a lot of times we'll go into a gospel song, or we'll keep the instrumental of one song, and I'll sing a gospel song on top of it, and that'll make people feel more comfortable. So they'll sing it. So I'm just like, hey, make sure you go where you grow, and you grow where you go. I don't care where you at. If you can't take God with you, you don't need to go there. So we've celebrated my mom, and then I just went for it. I told my mom, I talked to my mom, and they just got into it. It just opened so many people up, and they were like, I'm gonna go to church this Sunday, because that just made me feel so good, like I need to be around. People were, crying, and I just told my mom, and I told people, in the audience, I don't remember the exact words, because it was genuine. Because that's another thing. When you up there and you just doing it just to get a reaction, you're not gonna get it, because people can feel when you're being fake. But I was literally happy for my mom, because literally everything happened to my mom while she was battling cancer. Her job started tripping, where she was used to being financially.
Right.
If she went back to when she was, just a single mom with just me before she had my sisters. She went through everything. She went through literally hell while fighting a type of breast cancer that most people, even when caught early, it takes them out. So it was a genuine praise and worship moment in a secular place, and other people were able to be drawn in, and for some people that was the most that they had seen God in a long time. So it was genuine, and I think people put God in a box as far as where he could be, because I've had some people when I lived in Houston, and I won't go into my Houston days, but when I lived in Houston, I saw a man. And if anybody who's watching lived in Houston, if you know the Greyhound on Main Street is infamous. The McDonald's Road Cross is infamous for having, the men who just got out of prison,
right?
The transients, all of that. And there was a dude there, and he was speaking, and I was just crying. Okay. And you could tell he was on drugs. You just you knew. But when he was saying, I may be going through this, but I'm still covered. I'm going to come out of this all right. I'm going to be all right. And I was like in my 5th year of college. I was messing up. I couldn't get, and I just cried. And that was a junkie. And I got some God from that person. So I don't limit God to where he could be.
And perhaps that's more people, right? I can identify there. When I was in seminary, the best sermon I think I ever heard was from an alcoholic in a barbershop. He hung out apparently with the husband of one of the women barbers, and they got into conversation, and I don't know if she was joking, but you killed my husband. And he went into a tirade, but the brother preached, and anyone in that barbershop that day, if they thought about he spoke, and he witnessed, and his witness and his testimony was a sermon, was a message, and it was profound. That was over 30 years ago, and I remember that today, and will remember it. It will go to my grave with me. And I appreciate the fact, because we have so many who go to church, right? And they go church. Folk go to church for a lot of reasons, right? Yeah. Some go because they love God. Some are trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband. Some are going out of habit, right? Yeah. Remembering some years ago, I had gotten home, and I have a great aunt. She's now gone home. She and my uncle had come by the house at my mom's. They were on their way to church, and as they were leaving the house, y'all have fun at church? Don't be silly, boy. we going to church. And in that moment I thought, if I can't have fun at church, I don't need to be there.
I have my most fun with my church family.
Because if I'm celebrating God there, and that's my joy, then there ought to be some fun at church, right? One of the things I strive, have worked to do with students on campus, right? Sometimes they want to show them in chapel work, but serving God is not always about being on bended knees, right? It's all of those wonderful things you do. We do retreats, the wonderful things you can do and have fun, right?
I agree.
I don't know, but when others, every now and then you have a Pharisee who tries to trap you, and I've often gotten the question, Rev, can we go to the club? And the answer that you gave earlier is what I share, right? Because some are waiting for you to say no. One.
Yeah.
So that they can
always
instantly rebel.
Yeah.
Mine is you can go anywhere you want to go if you can take God with you.
Yeah.
And you have to be honest whether he's with you or not.
Yeah.
Right?
There's some venues here, and like I said, I've closed out a show with I love Total Praise. I think Total Praise is like one of the top 10 gospel songs of all time. So I've gone into it, and it'd be a genuine moment, because sometimes when I give something, it may not be for anybody. I might need that for me.
Right.
It's some venues here who have made it known we can't come back because of that.
Okay.
And I've made it clear. Okay.
So
that's fine.
So you are okay with that?
I'm okay. I'm more than okay with that, because the thing is like, y'all don't mind if I say this word. Y'all don't mind if I do this dance. Y'all don't mind if I dress this way. But as soon as I give honor and respect and glory to the person who gave me the gifts, who allowed me to do this in the first place, we got a problem. That's cool. That's your red wagon. You can push or pull it. As for me and my band, which my MD, who I've known for years in our Houston days, we was an undergrad cutting up, Steven, he's been an MD at several churches. He comes from a church background. My bass player Doc is a deacon.
Okay.
And then my drummer, who is also my cousin-in-law, because he's married to one of my blood relatives, he's a drummer for a lot of churches. And he leads Bible study amongst his group. And he out of the group, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, or any of that. So when he comes, he's straight laced. He loves doing it and he loves teaching it. So we're not just a group of individuals who we only know secular. We pray together before a show. We if we call each other and it's something, we don't just say, all right, I'm praying for you. Stephen will call and be like, come on, let's pray real quick. And the prayer may be rough. Yeah, so Lord Jesus, we trying to do what we supposed to do. Okay, that sounds good a little bit. All right. But we still, reverence the fact that all of us got gifts and abilities and talents, not because we were so gifted and able and talented, because we got it from God. Because there's some people who spent 20 years taking lessons and they just can do this. They can just take it back. But when you really got it and you can do it, you got to give it back to him in certain ways. So
it's a difference, and I will ditto, right?
Right.
I acknowledged my call, working in a club. Had struggled, was in Houston and was doing well, and young, dumb. I had a car accident. And somehow, without my car, and at that time, public transportation in Houston was awful. It was late to work all the time, and it wasn't my fault, right?
You're trying.
Legitimately.
Yeah, it's really not.
And in some ways, just sort of all fell apart.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back home for a while, and my goal was to not be on my parents. My dad did a wonderful job of helping us to be men and to be responsible and to take it yourself, right? So I have to go back home. It's hard. I taught substitute taught. That it was in January. Substitute taught during the day. Had my brother's brother-in-law, musician, and worked in one of the downtown clubs. on a date. I called and said, hey, I need some help. I need to work. Anything that I can do. And I that night I thought it was a blessing, right? I went to church that night with my mom. I think I had all my $15. No, maybe I had 5 or 10. Whatever it was, I put in the plate. I put all I had. I got a call when I got back to the house. You can come out tonight and host. It's just sitting people, taking to their tables. I got 3 times what I put in the plate that night, right? It became a wonderful opportunity not to do what everybody else was doing,
Right.
but to witness. And witness does not mean you always have to carry a Bible, right?
Yeah.
There was an evening, one of the waitresses, she'd come in sometimes and she talked about all the good things that was happening to her. And I'd simply say, that's God.
It is.
She'd share something else, and I had this crazy laugh, and I go into this laugh, and I say, that's God. And eventually she said, if God's that good, I need to give it a try, right? So somewhere, perhaps, if you can be authentically you,
Right.
and authentically you ought to mean taking God with you
Everywhere you go.
right? So would you say then those who have a problem with the church are those who perhaps don't have a God relationship themselves and they're too reliant?
Do they have a problem with the church or the people in the church?
Is there a difference?
Yes.
Okay.
The people in the church are still flawed.
Okay.
Nobody in that church is perfect, from the pastor to the janitor. So, do I have a problem with the church? Like, did I hear something in the sermon and I heard it with offensive ears? Like, you're not supposed to do this. He not preaching nothing that's, his thoughts. He's from the Bible. He's giving you the scripture to back it up, telling them what we not supposed to be doing, and you heard it with an offensive spirit, or like or was it? So is it the church and wasn't being preached, or is it the person? Was it Sister Bernice who took your parking spot and she took your spot in your favorite pew, and now you just feel like church folks are inconsiderate because where you supposed to sit?
Okay. And I say church because for me, the people are the church, right? Folk meet in school cafeterias. There's an old church in Atlanta, and it's now a restaurant. That building actually is not the church. It's the place where church is held. The church is inside the people.
I see it differently.
And if we can't be the church, because folk ought to see that where you go. But there is a problem with people in the church, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That equates to this problem with church. Yeah. That becomes a problem with church.
Well, yeah.
And that's because there is not a personal relationship, or is that?
Well, I think it depends on the person, because sometimes people just want to be offended. Some people
want to be offended.
Yeah, they just want to be offended.
Come at me today.
Yeah, not like that. Like
okay.
They're more so. They already come in with a preconceived notion of what church is supposed to be, and they think I'm gonna have this beautiful walk with God, and it's gonna be nothing but lilies and sunshine, and everyone who's in the body of Christ, we're gonna just hug and.
So they're coming in looking for perfection.
They come looking for perfection. So
fair.
Then when they realize that this person is flawed too, now they're like, look at the church. The people in the church are just as raggedy as people in the bank. No, baby. That person still got some growing to do, and they walk too. Sometimes people grow, sometimes they don't. But I think so that's when I say people come in with an offensive, got that spirit of wanting to be offended.
Okay. And not understanding the church is a hospital.
Yeah.
For sinners, and because I've been there a while, that means that I'm perfect yet, and I'm just a little closer. I'm still being worked on.
Yeah, all the time. My surgery just happened to be a little bit more extensive compared to some other people. Because there's some people compared to 24-year-old me versus 34-year-old me. Okay. They will definitely tell you. I think before I act, and I don't put my hands on people as much as I would be willing to at that age. Now, it's not just because people like to say, "Oh, I'm too old for that." No, I got convicted.
Yeah.
Because it was like, would you want somebody to be hitting on this person that you love like this, that person may have done this. You may, have whatever reasons here to feel like it's justified. But if that other person was your sister and somebody else thought like you thought, but this time instead of when they hit them, that person didn't hit your sister or your brother or your cousin too hard, and now they gone. Because fighting, people think, oh, you get out there, you fight, it's over. Yeah, but you don't know what's gonna happen within that fight.
Okay.
Somebody could fall, hit the back of the head on the curb.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. To really be fighting is dangerous.
So you're saying that it can go to that extent?
Things can go where you never meant for it to. Okay. You know what I mean? So I just think, with the church, I recognize the building, I see it, but then I also see that people attach certain things to that building. Cause I got some friends who won't drive, when they drive past a certain church, even here in Austin, they don't even want to look at the, they still, them people, they get on my nerves. So so they attach it, but you just gotta realize that sometimes you gotta grow where, in here, and then get into it for yourself. Because I had an understanding of church from grandma, mama, aunties, uncles.
But then at some point,
I started going through my own storms, and I remember an older relative of mine said, I can't help you with this one. And they had all the abilities to help me.
Okay.
But they took their hands off me. Now, looking back now, I'm so glad they did. Because now I got the tools to, when something else comes up, I can handle it.
And so sometimes we are required to engage in some tough love.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take your hands off people.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah.
I want to ask you another question. We've talked, and at some point you talked about being responsible. Are there some places we don't go? And read me and see where I'm going with this. Enjoyed your performance. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. Okay. Enjoyed you in chapel. Mm-hmm. Right. As we sat there, there was some conversation as we were going in. Mm-hmm. Right. And there is a signature song mm-hmm. that you have, right? It was interesting. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And as we sat there, and it seemed to have been delayed. Maybe I stayed longer than I was supposed to stay. I don't know. Because at one point, I forget her name. I'm sorry. When she sees this, she might say, "He didn't remember my name." But the teacher that we went with, Miss White, Dwana. Yeah. Dwana.
I could never.
I could never call her Dwana.
No, I could never. My teachers always feel so weird,
yeah.
even though I'm an adult. That's Miss White.
Well.
Yeah.
Miss White. Yeah.
Miss White.
When we together, we say Dwana, but Miss White.
I get it.
Okay, Miss White. Uh-huh. Her husband sort of said, "Well, she hasn't sung her song yet," because you had come over and we sort of talked at one point in the intermission. Yeah. And I said, "She hasn't sung her song yet." So I didn't know who it was. He sort of chuckled around the table, right? Uh-huh. And there was a signature song. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. Are there limits? Are there some songs that are just fun songs and we do? Are there limits as we talk about being responsible? When we talk about the possibility or when we talk about the ability to, even in the midst of the performance and doing secular songs, is there a limit or to what we do?
So I'm going back to your first part. For me, there are absolutely certain venues, secular, especially secular, that I will not go to.
What do you mean you will not go to?
I will not sing there.
Okay.
I won't put my band in that situation.
Okay.
Based on where it's at, also based on the typical crowd that it brings, outside of just me, because they got other artists who come, and not because I don't care for the area or I don't want them to hear me sing, because you don't know what opportunity is in the audience.
Right.
With with my name being the forefront in the band, I'm also responsible for these men, and I've grown relationships with them. I know what some of their struggles are. I'm not gonna put them in situations where they gotta be accountable to God for what they've done.
Right.
Regardless of what we sing, regardless of what we play, we know who we belong to at the end of the day. So I'm not gonna put them in any situation where, and these are just examples, but if I know one of them is trying to come off of drinking,
right,
and I know at this place you gotta take a shot just to get in, they don't care who it is,
okay,
we're not gonna do that.
Okay.
Now, if I can talk with whomever and say, hey, in our contract, no, cool, we can, whatever. But if that's, I've been some places, this is my club, if you want, this is how I get down, if you want, okay, thank you.
Okay.
We not that hard pressed for the money. Appreciate it. So I have a responsibility to them and to myself to be, to know
right
where physically where we can't go. Now, as far as the song choice, I take this approach even with when I sing gospel. You gotta know your audience. I wouldn't go to a youth event and sing a Mississippi Mass Choir song, because they'll like it, because but they're not gonna connect. Versus if I go up and sing a Kiki Sherrod song or a Jacqueline Carr or a Kirk Franklin, who's remained relevant all of my life. You know what I mean? You have to know your audience. There have been times where we didn't do the signature song, not because we're embarrassed by it or we're ashamed to do it. It's because when we look at the flow and how the crowd has responded to certain songs, because what people don't know is most of my sets are 26 to 30 songs. It's 13 to 15 in one set, 13 to 15 in one set. If I'm doing all the fast songs and the crowd is just they killing it, they loving it, I'm not gonna drop it by singing I'm going any slow song.
Right.
You kind of have to gauge.
Read the room.
You got to read the room, and you have to be great at it. Now, that particular song, it does one of several things, but the top thing is the shock factor. when they hear it, because they're like, oh, okay. Especially because I blend two songs.
Okay.
But the first part of the song is a different song by a different artist that the original singer wrote for, and then the other one is her song. And so it's the shock factor. I'll never forget the first time I performed it in front of my grandmother, and she was drinking her drink. She what? She did this, the shock factor. Then, because we've all had human experiences, they're like, yeah. Some people like, yeah, yeah. Because a lot of because I fused that song with some old blues songs, like the Johnny Taylors and the, that group of people. I mixed that in, so it all, because it's nothing new. It's just different words. It's just different words. So it's either the shock factor or the yeah or the They don't know what to say. So just to continue, you read the room. You kind of just know where to go, how to, if it works, And then a lot of people thought that was an original song, because it wasn't a single. It was just a very popular B-side song. Okay. So a lot of times I get people, what made you write that? Or I can have one person. So who is that about? Is that about? Okay. And I'm like, y'all know that's not my song, right? We're a cover band, so every song is a cover. So they're like, oh, so we kind of just, and a lot of times people always ask, because I do a lot of turning and interacting with them. A lot of times I'll be in front and like, yeah, and we'll do the breakdown. I'll turn around and go, and they people don't know, but I'm talking to them because we have to, because we don't
communicating what's going on.
Communicate what's going on, because we don't get the due to what's going on around us with certain venues and what our price point is. A lot of times people just can't get there, so we have to make sure the chemistry, we can keep it going even when we go long periods of time without playing. So it's reading the room, knowing it, because we got invited one time to do at a older, like a senior home. We wasn't gonna put that on the set list.
Okay.
You just kind of like, it's like
Yeah.
you can have there's some fun songs that we have, you know, the popular 90s songs or even the more current songs, but we were like, absolutely not. This is crazy. So you just kind of just know.
Okay, so that's more of just a fun song. That's a signature song. So that's the one that you do.
The people who come to my shows often, like who follow me wherever I go, they look forward to that song because they get
it's something different.
It's something different.
I guess it wasn't. Maybe it was a combination of both. The shock and the okay, because I heard it, and then I leaned over to my friend and said, "What'd she say?"
Yeah.
And she whispered it to me. I said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And just sort of
kind of like, ooh,
sat back. Okay?
Now I will say it's interesting because like between me and my middle sister is 9 years, and then me and the youngest is 13 years. So for the longest, I was my mom's only child. So a lot of the people who are in her age bracket, they still see me as little Monae. Yeah. So then when I get up and I'm a full adult woman, and then they stay for the show and they hear that one, they're like, I can't take it. My sister's godfather, he almost like literally, I'm still in the middle of performing the song, and he's like, they're trying to keep him from coming to snatch me off the stage. Yeah. And it's so you kind of have to tell people. I used to give the warning like, hey, just so you know,
and it's your signature. So mine is and no judgment here. I sat through it, right, and it was a couple of other songs that I sat through before I left, before we left. So that's the one song that you have there that's become a signature song. But is that common, and are there other songs of that nature that you do, or is that the signature song? Because I enjoyed the show, and I got through that, right? Yeah. And it was okay, right? But that's not a common. I mean, that particular song is common in how you use it and when you use it. But
we do another song. The word is it's a different word, but as far as the suggestiveness and the nature of it, it's the same.
Okay.
So we have a few songs, and then these are songs that were played on the radio as is.
Great.
So it's
and that's the is the responsibility. What level of responsibility is there when we begin to broaden our list?
Yeah. We alternate the set list. So, like example, if we're going to play for example, say we're playing for the mayor, right? Absolutely not. Okay. That song, and we got like maybe like 6 other songs. No, we're gonna keep it fun, but again, read the room. Now, if I'm doing Dirty Red's 60th birthday bash, and I've had some older people like, hey, you gonna do that song for me, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, what's? And I always go, what song? What song? And they like, you know the song. You know the song. And I'm like, you want me to? Yeah, I know that song. And I'm like, okay. So if you.
So bottom line is it's performance.
Yeah.
It's performance. And ultimately, the goal is to glorify God in what you do, because you do have a God relationship. And as we close, I'm just going to ask. I mean, we've done a lot of talking, right? Probably a conversation that many love to have, love to hear. Like, you're not just church girl on Sunday morning. It's through the week. You do other kinds of, you teach Bible study. We had a conversation a couple of days ago. I'm doing a Bible study, and I want to hear some things here, and we had a conversation and show some things, right? Yeah. That God is there.
Has to be, or it won't work, right? None of it.
And I guess the question is, if you had to nutshell it, and looking at if I just said, and I said I haven't labeled this yet, right? Haven't titled this. If I were going to say church girl in the club, what's up with that? What would you say?
Church girl in the club.
Well, how about church girl? How about, I don't know how you can put a church choir girl, right?
Church girl.
Okay. What would you say? What's up with that?
I would, like, somebody was asking me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got you. I was like, oh, the title, that's fine. If someone was asking me, church girl in the club, what's up with that? I would say, first I would ask, are you wanting to know for understanding, or you want to know to try to condemn me?
Okay.
That's the first thing, because I've encountered a lot of people want to genuinely know, because they may have something that they're doing that may cause a split, whether they're a musician,
right.
And some people are telling them, oh, you don't need to play for the church, or or they may have the, I want to do this, and there's a way to do it in the kingdom, and they're getting that type of tear. There's a lot of different things where they have that battle. I would ask, like, are you asking,
right.
Because some people want to know how to navigate that, because this is their first time getting their feet in. I've been doing it for quite a while, so.
Right.
And then I would also say, in the beginning, I've heard the whispers from family, from friends, from people, but at the end of the day, my relationship and my understanding of who I am, and then who I belong to, and then getting a better understanding of why I do it, because you've lived, you've seen, gone to jazz concerts, or you may have other, and it's you see some singers, you're like, oh, they sound nice, but then there'll be that one singer, and when they put something, when they sing it, it's not just from I'm talented place, it's from within, it's a deep place. That's where God dwells, and you want to sing from there regardless, because Tennessee whiskey can move someone just as much as For Every Mountain. It just depends on where they are and they walk. And for me, when I sing at worldly venues, I can see it, because you can see the audience. Well, you can always see where there's someone who may have just had one tough week, and they just need to hear something that's going to let them know that it's going to be okay. And they may get that from Bag Lady, and then there's some people who I just want to have a good time, and then they hear that. But then there might be a couple in there who we don't really like each other, but we just trying to keep it together. And then when I tell people, oh, it's a dance floor here, it's looking a little empty, and then that couple who ain't danced with each other in 6 months, they finally dance with each other to Tennessee whiskey. So now they're gonna get something from it that God would want for them, to keep their marriage intact, to keep holding on a little bit longer, to go home and pray about it, and because we have our moments where in the people on the outside looking in, they're like, all right, y'all playing, but if it's not all of us up there, it's at least one or two of us up there who are like, no, I'm not. I need this moment, because it's Thursday. I still gotta wait Friday, Saturday to get to church on Sunday. I need something right now, in this moment, right now. So, church girl, what's up with that? It's me doing what I've been told to do, and what I know to do in my fullest abilities, because again, and this always sticks with me, no matter what the conversation or wherever I'm at. I may, even in church, I may be the only Bible that person encounters or sees. Because even in church, if you've been going to church a long time, you got your people who you normally speak to. You might come across a person and you, hey, how you doing? And you genuinely ask, and no one in that whole service just spoke to them, and you were just the first person to show them a little kindness, which is what we're supposed to be to each other. You may have been the only person who genuinely asked them, how are you? Not, hey, how you doing? And kept moving. Because it's so second nature when you're in church during that go hug your neighbor part. Right. Hey, you good? Okay. Oh, okay, great. But when you say, hey, how you doing? All right, it's good to see you. And they haven't heard that, or they may have had a few weeks where they just felt like they were invisible, but to be seen, so being the gospel, you got to be there everywhere. Because even in venues where people have been deliberately rude to us, I'm not gonna give that back to you because God may be using you as my next step to get to where I'm supposed to be. He's gonna make your enemies your footstool, and you may not be necessarily an enemy, but how you're behaving in this moment. Me personally, I tell people all the time, I wear clip-ons for a reason, just in case we got to get busy. Cause I don't tolerate disrespect, and I got my limits, but we're not gonna go there. But because I've grown, it's not gonna be an immediate there. Right. I'm gonna remove myself so I don't go back and have to ask for forgiveness, cause for something I've been delivered from. All right. You know what I mean? I got you. So it's all about doing what you doing what you called to do, and then being obedient, and then knowing how to operate in that to where it's effective and not offensive. Because for me, again, I get it a lot. Even in church, people come to me just crying, and for me, I have my personality type. I'm always, why are you crying? You know, especially outside of church, if people run into me and they just come, why are you crying? What I do? Are you okay? And they was like, I just needed that. And then the same way, if I sing another song, I just needed that. You don't know what people need. You don't know what people are going through. Because in this current economy, in this current job market, with families, and then with people getting sick, people just go through it. So to just have some type of relief, or know that you're seen or acknowledged, or just to hear something and just make you feel better. So, but I also will say this though: if you know that you're supposed to sing gospel, don't that's just do it. I'm not saying you can't ever in life sing a secular song or two, or even if somebody pass you the mic, sing along. But if you know where you're supposed to, so you're writing, so you're arranging, so you're singing, do your studio work. If for those who want to take it that far, if you know you're supposed to do gospel, just do it.
Be true to your call.
Be true to your call.
Monae, thank you for taking the time out.
Anytime.
To share with us today.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
Glad that you are here.
Yes.
And my prayer is that for those who are perhaps struggling, right, with a gift, that they feel they're being led, called, assigned to do in a secular world, yet they understand their Godness and the God relationship. Maybe something has been said this evening that would help them. So I thank you, praise God for you, and to those who have shared with us, I'm going to say, let's give some praise for Monae. And want to thank you for stopping in and spending a little time with us on this evening. Again, as I shared with Monae, hope that something has been said this evening that benefits you on your journey. Yes. And if you got some questions, just pause a moment and ask, what's up with that? Yeah. And you may not get the answer you're looking for, but at least it hopefully will start a conversation and move you to that place that you're okay. Glad you're with us. And until next time, be blessed.
So along with the taste buds changing, I think there's a lot of persons, particularly in the younger generation,